Kurinji Senior Secondary School, CBSE, Namakkal.
Successful result producing school in state every year.
Administered by the Board of Directors with over 35 years of experience in the teaching field.
Special attention on art, craft, music, dance, silambam, yoga, skating and karate.
Focus on Hindi Sabha and Spell Bee Olympiad exams.
Smart class for effective and innovative learning and well-furnished library.
Solitary importance on sports and games in state and national level.
WhatsApp facilities to know activities of students and school inside the campus.
NEET, JEE, IIT coaching experts from Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh along with our effective teachers.
Admission registration for classes LKG to +2.
Kurinji Educational Institution, Kavetipatti, Namakkal. Admission in progress. CBSE, KG to 12, contact 9025895176. Metric 6 to 12, contact 9344567484. For online admission, log on to www.kurinjischoolnkl.in.
See here, so we start with the first problem, example 14.1, right? So from the chapter Semiconductor Electronics, Materials, Devices and Simple Circuits, we start with, now we are in a discussion about numericals, okay? So it is the class from which we started numericals, from which we are going to start numericals. And first 14.1, right? First example problem. See here. Si and germanium, right? Carbon, silicon and germanium have same lattice structure. Why is carbon insulator while silicon and germanium are intrinsic semiconductors? Very good question and nice question to understand the differences between carbon one side and other side silicon and germanium. Okay, right. And you know, from this chapter silicon and germanium, right, are semiconductors, right? And moreover you can say that intrinsic semiconductor, because we have different types of semiconductors, no, right? Basically I want to talk basic point, that is what intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor, right? Intrinsic semiconductor means, you know, pure semiconductors, right? Extrinsic semiconductor means, you know, by doping intrinsic semiconductor with some other doped material, we will get extrinsic semiconductor, right? So extrinsic semiconductor, you can call them as doped semiconductors, you can call them as impure semiconductors also, okay, right? Okay, here the question is, you know, carbon, silicon and germanium have same lattice structure. This is the sentence they have given. The question is, why is carbon insulator while silicon and germanium are intrinsic semiconductors? Okay, and you know, carbon is insulator, so which doesn't allow energy at any cost, at any time, the carbon which does not allow energy, right? That's why carbon is the insulator. But whereas germanium and silicon are semiconductors, okay? That's why here he is asking the difference, the basic difference between carbon and other side silicon and germanium, okay, right? And see here, the 4 bonding electrons of carbon, silicon and germanium lie respectively, okay, in the second, third and fourth orbit, right? So the 4 bonding electrons of carbon, silicon and germanium exist or arranged or having respectively in the second, third and fourth orbit, right? Second, third and fourth orbit. So what about the next step? You know, the energy required to take out an electron from these atoms will be least for germanium, followed by silicon and highest for carbon, right? It's a general thing, I am not saying any new thing, right? So you know, if you go for atomic structure, right, so when the electron is revolving in one orbit, to go to the level of higher energy, it requires certain amount of energy. Suppose if the electron is revolving in higher level of energy state or energy orbit, if it comes to the lower level energy orbit, right, then it releases certain amount of energy in the form of photons. So this is what we experienced in atomic structure. Okay, that's why what I am saying is this jumping of electron from one place to another place is a common thing what we studied from the chapter of atom. Okay, right. So the four bonding electrons of carbon, silicon, or germanium, right, exist in the second, third, and fourth orbit. Okay, right. Hence, the energy required to take out an electron from these atoms will be least for germanium, followed by silicon, and highest for carbon, right? Hence, the number of electrons for conduction in germanium and silicon are significant, but negligible in case of carbon, right? Negligibly small in case of carbon. I'll repeat once again the last sentence. The number of free electrons for conduction in germanium and silicon are significant, but negligibly small for carbon. You know very well, for the conductivity, right, we need more number of free electrons, right? So here carbon acts like a insulator and silicon and germanium like intrinsic semiconductor. The reason is this what I told you. Okay, so we have to keep in mind the arrangement of bonding electrons in all of these, that is what carbon and silicon or germanium, right? That is the most important thing here. Why? Because the energy required to take out an electron from these atoms will be least for germanium, followed by silicon, and highest for carbon. So how we are saying this statement? Because of the arrangement of electrons, right? Next, at last, you can say that the number of free electrons for conduction in germanium and silicon are significant, but negligibly small in carbon. Okay, so this is what for this question, right? So though carbon, silicon, and germanium having same lattice structure, why carbon is insulator, germanium and silicon are semiconductors means, you know, the availability of free electrons for conduction in germanium and silicon are significantly are sufficient, but negligibly small for carbon. Okay, and that is linked to the arrangement of electrons, arrangement of bonding electrons in the respective orbits. Okay, right. Now we are going for second question. I mean second problem. See this. Suppose a pure silicon crystal has 5 into 10 to the power of 28, 5 into 10 to the power of 28 atoms per meter cubed, full stop. It is doped by 1 ppm concentration of pentavalent, right? It is doped by 1 ppm concentration of pentavalent arsenic, full stop. Calculate the number of, right? Calculate the number of electrons and holes. Calculate the number of electrons and holes given that Ni is equal to 1.5 into 10 to the power of 16, right? 1.5 into 10 to the power of 16. That is what thermally generated electrons. That is what Ni is equal to 1.5 into 10 to the power of 16 per meter cubed. Please try to understand the problem. Then automatically you can understand the solution. See here. So the question is, a pure silicon crystal has 5 into 10 to the power of 8 atoms per meter cubed. When it is doped by 1 ppm concentration of pentavalent arsenic, calculate the number of electrons and holes. So they have given another quantity, that is what Ni is equal to 1.5 into 10 to the power of 16 per meter cubed. Okay, right. See here. You know, thermally generated electrons is approximately equal to 10 to the power of 16 per meter cubed, right? So this value is negligibly small when compared to that produced by doping, right? So here itself we are getting the importance of doping, right? Already we have pure semiconductors like germanium and silicon, right? So why we are going to dope means to increase the charge carriers in millions, right? So when we are going to increase the number of charge carriers, the conductivity is high. That is the purpose of doping. That is the purpose of extrinsic semiconductors. Okay, right. So here, so this is whatever the number they have given, which is very small, negligibly small when compared to that produced by doping. So that here you can write it as Ne is approximately equal to Nd, and we know one more relation, that is Ne into Nh is equal to Ni square, right? So from theory, so we discussed the theory. From there you can write Ne into Nh is equal to Ni square. So number of holes NH is equal to, you just write NH as the subject Ni square by Ne, right? Ni value already given 1.5 into 10 to the power of 16. 1.5 into 10 to the power of 16 whole square divided by Ne means, which is, that is 5 into 10 to the power of, right? 5 into 10 to the power of 22. 5 into 10 to the power of 22. Okay, right. Then finally we will get it as 4.5. 4.5 into 10 to the power of 9 per meter cubed. So if you do this process, if you complete this step mathematically, then we will get it as 4.5 into 10 to the power of 9. 4.5 into 10 to the power of 9 per meter cubed. This is what number of holes, right? Number of holes is equal to 4.5 into 10 to the power of 9 per meter cubed. Per meter cubed. Okay, that's what he is asking to calculate, and we calculated, right? So number of holes as 4.5 into 10 to the power of 9 per meter cubed. Okay, right. Next question. That is what 14.3. Next problem. Okay, see here. Can we take one slab of p-type semiconductor and physically join it to another n-type semiconductor to get p-n junction, right? So it's very interesting question. Generally, after completion of this topic, that is what doping, right? So sorry Farma, here it is not doping because doping already completed. Before this, that is what to make p-type and n-type semiconductor. This is the question arises when we are going to make p-n junction diode. p-n junction diode. Okay, so it's very interesting. Generally, after completion of theory, we will get a doubt, right? How to make a p-n junction diode by having a p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor, right? So that's why this question helps you to clarify the doubts whatever we have in our mind after completion of theory discussion regarding formation of p-n junction diode. Okay, right. See here. Can we take one slab of p-type semiconductor and physically join it to another n-type semiconductor to get p-n junction? Okay, the answer is no, right? Any slab, howsoever, right? Howsoever flat, right? So whatever it may be, any slab will have roughness much larger than the interatomic crystal spacing. Any slab will have roughness much larger than the interatomic crystal spacing, and hence continuous contact at the atomic level will not be possible. So you have to keep in mind what is the crystal spacing. So that value 2 to 3 angstrom unit. 2 to 3 angstrom unit, right? So the junction will behave as a discontinuity for the flowing charge carriers. For the flowing charge carriers, right? In this problem, he is talking about the possibilities of making p-n junction diode also, right? According to our visualization or imagination. See here. So any slab, right, will have roughness. That is what the value is much larger than the interatomic crystal spacing, and hence continuous contact at the atomic level will not be possible. continuous contact at the atomic level will not be possible. You know very well what's happening in case of PN junction diode, right? So how the charge carriers will flow, and what is the barrier potential, right? And what is a P type P terminal and what is N terminal. If we connect in forward bias, what will happen? If we connect in reverse bias, what will happen, right? So these are all we discussed. So that is also very important here to understand the information what they have given here, right? So because of having much larger roughness when compared to the interatomic crystal spacing, that is what 2 to 3 angstrom unit, the continuous contact is not possible. The continuous contact at the atomic level will not be possible. That's why the junction will behave as a discontinuity. The junction will behave as a discontinuity for the flowing of charge carriers. So when there is a discontinuity, you can say that it is not possible. Next one. Next question. I can go for next question. That is what 14.4. Okay. See here. The VI characteristics. The VI characteristic of a silicon diode is shown in the figure. That is what see this picture. VI characteristics of a silicon diode. Right. Calculate the resistance of the diode at A. ID is equal to 15 milliamps and VD is equal to minus 10 volts. Okay. ID, that is what current, 15 milliamps, and VD, that is what voltage, minus 10 volts. Okay. And if you see this graph, here, you can see that which is x-axis and y-axis. Here we took voltage, and this is voltage ma. This is what voltage, and this is what current. Okay. And like 10, 15, 20, and this is what scale 0.7, 0.8. Okay. And this is also current. This is also current, and this is also voltage, right? So positive x-axis, negative x-axis, like positive y-axis and negative y-axis. Okay. Right. It is what microamps. It is what silicon. Okay. Already in the question itself he mentioned for silicon diode. Okay. And at two different values, but not the same. In A, that is he is talking about that is current, and in B he is talking about voltage. But anyhow, in A and B we have to find the resistance of the diode. Okay. And the basic formula, you know, that is what Ohm's law. V is equal to IR and R is equal to V by I, right? So first you understood the graph, and then you can go for solution. That is what okay. See this, and consider the diode characteristics, right, as a straight line between I is equal to 10 milliamps, and where is that ma? This is what I is equal to 10 milliamps, and I is equal to 20 milliamps here. That is what I is equal to 20 milliamps, right? In between these two, the diode characteristics as a straight line. Diode characteristics as a straight line. Okay. And this one ma, straight line means from here to here, right? So almost not this total. If you consider this total, it is not a straight line. It is like a parabolic curve, right? And only from here to here he is asking to consider as a straight line. Then you know what can we write? Resistance by using Ohm's law. V is equal to IR, no? Then R is equal to V by I, right? So what is I? Here 20 milliamps, and here it is 10 milliamps, and V is equal to 0.8 volts. This is what 0.8 volts, and here it is what 0.7, right? So now we can write now, that is what R resistance is equal to V by I. Okay, delta V by delta I. Delta V means what? 0.1, because 0.8 minus 0.7, and delta I means what? That is what? 20 minus 10, no? 20 minus 10 means it is 10 milliamps. Okay. And you substitute, that is what? Milli is equal to 10 power minus 3. Then you will get it as 10 ohms, right? We will get it as 10 ohms as a resistance in case of A. So in case of A means that is what the ID is equal to, in case of A means he is asking to find resistance of the diode at A, ID is equal to 15 milliamps, okay, and then VD is equal to minus 10 volts, okay. Yeah, calculate the resistance of the diode at two different values, A and B, right. So now we completed A, we are going to see that B. See here, ma. That is what V is equal to minus 10 volts. V is equal to minus 10 volts and I is equal to minus 1 microamps. Minus 1 microamps. Therefore, resistance is equal to V by I. Same the Ohm's law. 10 by 1. But it is available in volts. It is what in microamps. Okay. So that is equal to 1.0 into 10 power 7. 1.0 into 10 power 7 ohms. So anyhow it is 1 into 10 power 7 means 10 power 7 only will come now, right. So the answer is 10 power 7 ohms. 10 power 7 ohms, okay, right. So in this class I request you, please keep in mind, so these are the example problems, right. So already you have in your textbook. If you want, again and again you can watch this video and please try to understand clearly, because by understanding the example problems we will get a grip on theory what we discussed, okay. And in the first problem here in 14.1 problem, he is asking, though they are having similar lattice structure, same lattice structure, right, though they are having same lattice structure, why carbon is insulator and other side germanium and silicon are semiconductors, okay. You know the answer is arrangement of electrons and then availability of free electrons, right. So the availability is more in case of germanium and silicon when compared to the carbon, okay, right. In the second problem he is asking to calculate number of holes and number of electrons, right. And we know this relation and we also have the derivation for this, okay. And by writing NH as a subject and substituting the given values, we are getting number of holes as 4.5 into 10 to the power of 9, okay, per meter cubed. Next, third problem, right. In third problem here you see he is asking to check if you join a p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor, a slab of p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor physically to make p-n junction diode. The answer is no, because the reason is the roughness is much okay, lesser when compared to that that is what interatomic crystal spacing, that is 2 to 3 angstrom units, okay, and has a continuous contact at the atomic level will not be possible. So there is no possibility for continuous contact. This is the main reason, right. The answer is no when we join a slab of p-type semiconductor to the n-type semiconductor physically to make p-n junction diode, okay, right. In this class the last problem, that is fourth problem, they have given one graph. He is asking to find resistance. So when ID is equal to 15 milliamps and then when VD is equal to minus 10 volts, okay, right. So we calculated, in one case it is 10 ohms and in another case it is 10 to the power of 7 ohms, okay, right. So we will continue this in our next class. We will start with fifth example problem, okay, right. Thank you.